Testing now, no audio. No. Okay, I'm trying once again to see if I have audio now. Testing. I should have audio now. I will wait a few minutes to see if there is audio or not. Okay? You can hear me now? Can you hear me now? Are we going out? Okay, very good. Thank you, Rocky. Excellent. Okay, so let's begin with Parshat Korach. Lots of things to learn about this one. It's very political. It's about pretty much the first coup in history, and a group of people that they challenge the authority of Moses and Aaron. In fact, it's very important to mention that we usually study the story of Korach as a group of people who challenged Moses. But it wasn't just Moses, it was Moses and Aaron. In fact, the rabbis understand that there were two groups together, that they were not happy about certain things within the camp of the Israelites. So Korach, actually, his genius was to be able to tap into each one of these subgroups, that each one of them had different problems with different people, and they put it all together so they will create a big mass of people who will come with him to challenge the authority of Moses and Aaron. And this story actually will also contain a very interesting mitzvah that we, God willing, we're going to see it towards the end of the class, what we can actually learn from this parsha. What is the practical application of the message that we learn from this text? Okay, so let's see quickly who is here. Shelly Chochinov, Rocky Pollack, hello. Raquel Vieira, hi, thank you. Yes, I can see. I don't know what happened with the audio. I think it's, I don't know. Hi, Judy. Sharak, she's here. Yerach Lezerovich is here. Hello. Okay, very good. So, let's read the first text that it says, Vaikach Korach. That's the opening of the parsha, by the way. Vaikach Korach. Okay, very important. Korach, also very important person. And Korach, the son of Itzhar, the son of Kehat, the son of Levi, took. And Datan and Aviram, the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Pelet, the sons of Reuven. Okay, so the parsha starts describing who were these people who came to Moses and to say, we are not happy the way things are. Now, it's very interesting the way it's written. The text opens by saying, Va'ikach Korach. Okay? And Korach took. But it doesn't really say what he took. It doesn't say it. It just said that there is something that he took, but it's up to us to try to read the text and understand what it is. Well, there are different comments from different rabbis that they try to present their opinion of what Korach took. But at the same time, there is something very interesting that I believe, even before I present to you what the rabbis have to say about it, that I believe that is describing something about Korach that it will be consistent with everything that it's going to do for the rest of the Parsha. Because I believe that in life, there are pretty much two kinds of people. People that they are takers and people that they are givers. And all along the Torah, Moshe is presented as a giver, where Korach, right at the beginning, is presented as a taker. First word of the Parsha is Va'ikach, and he took. And then I believe it doesn't really matter what he took. What it does matter is that he was a taker. And as a leader, because what he wanted was to become the new leader of the Jewish people, a taker cannot be a good leader. Okay? And that's why Moses, the giver, was chosen by God to be the leader of the Jewish people. If we go back in history and we learn more about Moses, who he was before he was called by God to serve as God's messenger, we will see that Moses was the one who was always very attentive and very receptive and very concerned about people's issues, and he was always there to try to solve them. You will remember in Egypt, actually, he got into trouble because he was helping a Hebrew slave that he was being beaten by an Egyptian. Okay? Very interesting. Then, actually, he saw two Hebrew slaves fighting against them, and he intervened to help. He also got into trouble. And then once he left Egypt, he saw a group of shepherds that they were bullying his future father-in-law's daughters, and he intervened to help because Moses was a giver. And he didn't ask anything in retribution for what he did. He did it, what's the word, selflessly. I hope I said that right. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So he was a giver. And it's not a coincidence that when we are introducing Korach, he is presented as a taker. In other words, all the opposite from Moses. Okay? So, let's see what some rabbis say about specific things that Korach took. It says, Korach took himself to a different side. This is the opinion of Rashi. The Ramban said he took a counsel into his heart. In other words, so he took the wrong advice. He took other people. Okay, this is even Ezra and Hiskuni, and actually I will say that this is the most obvious thing that Korach did. In fact, if you read the story, that's what he did. He took people that otherwise wouldn't be into any trouble, and he brought trouble into those people because he dragged them into his own madness and selfishness. He took the 250 national leaders, which is similar to the previous one, that is the opinion of Seforno, and he took a bad deal for himself. This is the opinion of the Talmud. Yeah, it was a very bad deal, because sometimes we forget that Korach was already a prestigious man with a very important position within the Jewish people. He wasn't a nobody. He was already a prince within the nation. But he wanted more. And this is something that we will see many times in the Torah, or in the Tanakh, actually, in the whole Bible, of people who are actually not happy with what they have. And when we read their stories, we cannot understand it. You know, we read the stories of these wonderful people and how much they have and how blessed they were, but they were miserable because they wanted more. And why? Because they were takers. They were not givers. They didn't realize that they received all that blessing, all that things from God in order to use it to serve others. And because all they were thinking was about themselves, they were always expecting more and more. And if they didn't have that more, they were miserable. A few examples that I can think just from the top of my head are, for example, King Saul. Remember the story of King Saul? He was the king of Israel. He had everything he wanted, but all of a sudden, this man called David, he was more popular than King Saul to the nation of Israel, and he could not deal with that. In other words, this is what happened when people care about what other people think about themselves. King Saul was so insecure of what he had that because one song that people created, that it was they were actually praising David more than Saul after a battle, he couldn't even sleep, and he even tried to kill David. Why? Because at that point, Saul, in his madness, he became a taker. He wanted everything to satisfy his own need for more and more and more. The other one that is very famous, and I will leave it there, was Haman. The story of Purim. He had everything, wonderful family, a wife, a position in the palace. He had money. And you know what he didn't have? One Jew, Mordecai, who wouldn't bow down to him. He had everything else except for that one Jew that wouldn't bow down to him. He was so miserable that we already know what happened, and he ended up losing everything. Same with Saul. He ended up losing everything because he couldn't learn to be happy with the blessings, that there were a lot, the blessings that they had. Same thing we are going to see here about Korach. He was not satisfied with all the wonderful blessings that he already had in his life. He was not able to count those blessings and be happy with it. He wanted more. He wanted to take. And that's why the Parshat started and Korach took. So it's very, very interesting. Okay, so let's see what the Midrash and Rashi say about this revolution, a rebellion that Korach started. Let's go to the next text. It says, what moved him, Korach, to start the quarrel? He was moved to it by the fact that Elitzaphan, the son of his father's brother, was appointed prince over his family. And it says in the book of Numbers 3:30, and the prince of the father house of the families of the Kehatite was Elitzaphan, the son of Uzziel. Korach argued, my father was one of four brothers, as it says in the book of Exodus, and the sons of Kehat were Amram, and Itzar, and Hebron, and Uzziel. As for Amram, the firstborn, his son Aaron, right, remember, brothers Moses, attained the greatness, and Moses to royalty. So in other words, he said, Amram's sons, Aaron, became the priest, and Moses became the leader, let's say the prime minister of the Jewish people. So in other words, within two brothers, you have the two big powers of the time, church and state. Very important to remember that. So what Korach is saying is, whoa, hold on a minute, that's not fair. Let's keep going. Okay, who then should rightly take the next office? It is not the next in line. Now I, being the son of Itzar, should by right be the leader of the Kehatites. Yet Moses appointed the son of Uziel. Okay, jealousy. We can already see that. Shall the son of the youngest of my father's brothers be superior to me? Behold, I shall dispute his decision and put to naught all that has been arranged by him. So here in the Midrash and in the words of Rashi, we have a little explanation on how this started to brew, what was boiling inside Korach. First, he didn't like the fact that two brothers from the same family took the main two positions within the Jewish people. In other words, Korach really cared about being honored. Didn't mention anything that he had something good to offer. He just wanted the title. It was important for him to have a title. Perhaps he didn't have the qualifications, he didn't have the character, he didn't have the morals to take that position. And that's why I believe Moses appointed the son of Uziel for the other position that he needed to fulfill within the ranks of the Jewish people. And Korach didn't like that. He didn't care if he was good or not. For that, he just wanted the title. And that is a characteristic of a taker. Takers care about the titles they have. Takers care how much honor they receive from people. Once again, remember when Moses was introduced to us? God said to Moses, I want you to be my messenger. You're going to be the deliverer. And Moses said, no, I don't want to take it. I don't want to be that. Why do I need that? Moses didn't want the honor. Those are givers. Givers do the right thing, not because of the honor that brings back to them, but because they know that it will be something good for somebody else. And that was Moses. So this is Korach, and this is what happened. Now, as I mentioned before, according to the Torah, it looks like there were different groups that they were already unhappy with Moses and Aaron for different reasons. So Korach, who has all this anger within himself, well, he said, okay, maybe it is a smart thing now to start tapping into their discontent, and I can perhaps manipulate them to my benefit. But let's see who these other people were, and let's talk a little bit more about that. So, let's read first in Numbers 16, verses 2 and 3. And it says, they rebelled against Moshe. Okay, so clearly here is something that is a rebellion against Moses. Okay, they rebelled against Moshe. Siding with them were 250 men of Israel, leaders of the community, key members of the council, men of reputation. They assembled themselves, and now I will say, against Moshe and Aharon. Now there is a new piece of information. It's not just Moses, but also Aaron. And they said to them, you take too much on yourself. Remember what I mentioned before? Two people from the same family taking the number 1 and number 2 positions within the rank of the Jewish people. Okay? You take too much on yourself. After all, the entire community is holy. Isn't that what we've been reading in the Torah? That everybody is holy. In fact, we have a Parshat, which is Kedoshim, that it says that everybody is Kadosh. Everybody is holy. Why? Because God is holy. We're all children of God. We're all holy. So why are you two playing this role that you are holier than everybody else? When the Torah clearly says that everybody is equally holy. It's interesting. This is you have to understand they are trying to bring almost like a political argument here, because this is the wonderful thing. They are not telling lies. They are using facts, but they are twisting it just a tiny little bit to try to manipulate the situation. This is the genius of Korach, how they can bring this half-truth to his benefit. So you take too much on yourself. After all, the entire community is holy. Every one of them, and Hashem is among them. Yeah, we already studied that. So why do you lift yourself up above Hashem's assembly? Let's keep going. Then Moshe said to Korach, listen here, you sons of Levi. That's interesting. It is for you a mere trifle that the God of Israel has separated you from the community of Israel to bring you close to himself, that you can do the work in the tabernacle of Hashem and stand before the community serving them. Okay, this is very interesting because now he's talking to the sons of Levi. Remember, sons of Levi were appointed to do all sacred things under the direction of the priests. Okay, but they also have a special status within the Jewish people. The rabbis would say that this honor was reserved for the firstborn but because of the episode of the golden calf and because of the Levites did not participate on the sin of the golden calf, and because they were the first one to say, we are with you, Moses, and we never approve what the other people did, they were rewarded with a special status to work with the holy things of the tabernacle. So Moses said, dude, count your blessings. Do you realize that you also have already a special status within the Jewish nation? Everybody's looking at you in a special way. And you are not even grateful for that. Okay, that was Moses' first advice to everybody. So that you can do the work in the tabernacle of Hashem and stand before the community serving them. He has brought you close, and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you. Now you want the office of Kohen too? That's why you and your group have gathered together against Hashem. After all, what is Aharon that you complain against him? Okay, so this is the thing, because this text starts saying that they rebelled against Moses, but are they really rebelling against Moses? If we keep reading a little bit more, in the second paragraph, it will be very clear that they're actually rebelling against Aharon. They didn't want the political leadership of the people. According to Moses' words, it is implicit that what they wanted was to become priests. They didn't want to replace Moses. They wanted to replace Aaron. So that brings us to group number one that rebelled at that time. Those were the 250 men mentioned in the Torah. They claimed the priesthood. That's what they wanted. So they rebelled against Aharon. And why? Because Torah says we're all equal. So we want to be priests as well. So group number one. Let's see who was the group number two. By the way, any questions so far? Remember, you can always use the chat box, either on Facebook or on YouTube. Now, if you're on YouTube, the catch is you need to create an account in order to be able to use the chat so I can see what you have to say. Otherwise, I cannot. You won't be able to send messages, and I won't be able to read what you say to me. Sorry about that. It's one of the restrictions of YouTube. Now, if you're on Facebook, it means that you already have an account, so you should be able to use the chat to let me know your questions. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's talk about group number two. Now we're talking about these guys, Datan and Aviram. Okay? So, Rocky, let's see what you have to say here. So, when Leviim picked our spot carefully, so we Leviim picked our spot not too ambitious. I don't think I understand what you say. Are you Levi, Rocky? That's what you're saying? Okay, not to be too ambitious. Oh, okay, yeah, you're Levi, so you have to be careful, right? Don't try to be a Cohen. You should be happy being a Levi, getting the second aliyah on the Torah if you go to a traditional shul. Otherwise, you may even get the first one at the Shari Zedek. Yeah. Okay. So let's. Yeah, didn't go after Moshe. Okay. Let's continue. So then Moshe sent to summon Datan and Aviram, the sons of Eliav. But they replied, "We won't come up. This is such a mere trifle, bringing us up from the land flowing milk and honey to kill us in the desert, that now you arrogate to yourself the role of dictator over us. You haven't at all brought us into the land flowing with milk and honey, and you haven't put us in possession of fields and vineyards. Do you think you can gouge out these men's eyes and blind them? We won't come up." Okay, so this is a totally different argument here. It's not the same of the other thing. It's not that they try to become priests. This one are clearly, at least in theory, unhappy with Moses' leadership. What they are saying is, Moses, you, as a politician, made all these promises to us, that we are going to come to a land that flows milk and honey and everything is so wonderful, and here we are in the desert. You haven't fulfilled your promise. So we won't go to talk to you. What do you think you are? And we won't believe your fake news anymore. Right? And you see, they said, and people won't believe you anymore. Now everybody knows that you're lying or whatever, except that, yeah, you see, this is half truth, because yes, it is truth that they haven't reached this land flowing milk and honey, right? But why? Because remember the episode of the 12 spies? They failed big time, and now they will have to work around for 40 years. It wasn't Moses' fault. The fault was all the leaders of that generation, that they didn't want to come to the promised land. Now these people are going to use that against Moses. So yeah, is it true that they are not in the promised land? Yes, it is truth. But what is not truth, it was Moses' fault. Very interesting. So, what happened, Ronen? Come here.
Black screen. It's not off. The TV's not off, but it's a black screen.
Okay. I'll be right back, guys. I have this is one of the perks of having my son at home. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue with the next text. So, this is the group number 2. They were Datan and Aviram, and we believe that they also have their followers, even though they are not mentioned here. What they claimed was political leadership. They didn't care about being priests. They just wanted to be the leader. So it was clearly against Moses. And why? Because they are accusing Moses of being a failed leader. Okay, so this is what is happening here. So, long story short, what happened is everything ended up being a big disaster for these two groups, And the Parsha will describe two different punishments for them. One group was consumed by fire, and another group was swallowed by the ground. Okay? And so this was the way it was. Group 1, remember the 250 men at the Ohel Moed, the one at the tabernacle. This is the one who wanted to replace Aaron. They were consumed by fire. And the group 2, the one who challenged Moshe, those were Datan and Aviram and company, swallowed by the ground. But then it's interesting because the Talmud says Korach received both punishments. First, he was burned by the fire at the Ohel Moed, and then his body rolled to the area of Datan and Aviram and was swallowed up by the ground. Because he wanted both, basically. He wanted to become high priest and the new leader of the Jewish people. And it failed in both fronts. Very, very interesting. Now, there is something very, let's move on, something that I promised you at the beginning, is to try to understand the practical applications of the principle that we learned in these parshas. In other words, almost like the halachic teachings that we learn from here. What do we expect to learn from this? So let's move on first to Pirkei Avot, that it will say something mentioning Korach. Pirkei Avot chapter 5, Mishnah 17 says, Kol machloket. You know what a machloket is? Machloket is the argument or the dispute, but it's like a verbal dispute. Any dispute that is for the sake of heaven is destined to endure. One that is not for the sake of heaven is not destined to endure. Which is a dispute that is for the sake of heaven? The dispute between Hillel and Shammai. Which is a dispute that is not for the sake of heaven? The dispute of Korach and all his company. Now, let's go. This is amazing. It's so juicy, this text from Pirkei Avot. I get very passionate when I study this because there are so many things that we have to learn to read between lines. I'm breaking up. Sorry about that. Might be your computer. I don't know. If there is anybody else who can see my voice and breaking up, I would like to know. So let's see. I will check my. Same here. I'm breaking up. Let's see if I can figure out why. That's very interesting. I'm running a. Oh yeah. Yeah, it says I have bad upload speed. Too bad. Hopefully we can go to the end of the class with this. So, any dispute that is for the sake of heaven is then destined to endure. Okay? Now, let's start with that. What is a dispute for the sake of heaven? It says there is a dispute between Hillel and Shammai. You remember them. And they are always presented as two people that they were always arguing between them. But they were arguing for the betterment of Judaism. They were arguing to try to understand the will of God better. They were halachic arguments. And in fact, this is a very common mistake. Hillel and Shammai themselves, they barely argued. All the arguments that we learned between them were between their students, what we call the house of Hillel and the house of Shammai. Those were the ones who were who were arguing between them. Okay, remember that. So, but it's mentioning between Hillel and Shammai. That's a good thing. That's something that have to happen. So there are certain debates that we need to have. And I believe this applies to society as well. There are certain debates that they are fundamental. Why? Because we need to have them to have a better society. But this is what is the best part, which is a dispute that is not for the sake of heaven. The dispute of Korach and all his company. Where in this world are Moses and Aaron in that Mishnah? Can you see it? It mentions Korach, but it does not mention Moses and Aaron. It just says the dispute of Korach and all his company. What is Moses and Aaron? They are not there. You know why? Because it needs two to tango. Basically, what it says here is that Moses and Aaron did not engage in that useless debate because they were not trying to do something to... Moses and Aaron saw it right away that the motivation of Korach was bad. So they got themselves out of this. And that's what it says, that basically this was from the beginning, the Korach was from the beginning a one-sided argument. They were never willing to listen to anybody else except the sound of their own voices. Just like that. Wonderful. So, there is something else that I wanted to... hi, Terry. I just saw your message. Let's go to the next one. There is something else that I wanted to tell you about this Parsha that is really, really beautiful. What it says, then Moses sent to summon Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they replied, we won't come up. Remember, we read it a few minutes before. And then what happened? And Moses rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram. And the Talmud says, Red Lakish said, this teaches that one must not be obdurate in a dispute. Because this is the thing. Moses had all the power. If somebody will come and argue against Moses, he has all the power to ask his the army or the police, whatever he had next to him, said, guys, take him down, put him to jail, kill them, whatever, you name it. Moses could do whatever he wanted to do, and nobody will dare to do anything to Moses. So Moses sent to summon Dathan and Abiram, and they said, we won't go. And Moses said, oh, really? You don't want to come? Guards, go get them. Bring them here. No, but that's not what Moses did. When Dathan and Abiram didn't want to come to meet with him, Moses went to them. How humble a leader have to be to do what Moses did? Because most of the time, the leader would say, you come to talk to me, and no, I don't want to go there to talk to you. How many will say, okay, don't worry, I'll go to you. I still want to know really what all this is about. Moses did it, and it's a great example. And that's because it says basically, when we read the words of Resh Lakish, it's that if Moses will say, oh, okay, if you don't want to come, I won't go either, then it will be this unsolved problem, and it will be a snowball. It will get bigger and bigger. And Moses was trying to avoid that. How great of a leader that he even have the insight to foresee that outcome. So he just went to see these two individuals. I think it's amazing that reaction of Moses. And because of this, the Torah says in Numbers 17:5, it won't be like Korach and his group. And the Talmud teaches that this is halakha. This is Jewish law. This is practical application of Torah. That we have the obligation, and I would read the Talmud here, that anyone who engages in the divisiveness, transgresses a divine prohibition, as it is written, won't be like Korach and his group. What a wonderful teaching. Sometimes we see so many things in society, things that we do, and sometimes we know that the outcome is division. And we have to be very careful not to do that, because it's not only bad for human relationships, it's also against the Torah, because that was exactly what Korach and his group tried to do, to create division within the nation, because they knew that a divided nation will be good business for their agenda. So we have a written prohibition of being the one facilitating division. We should be all the opposite. We should be like Moses, the giver, the healer, the one who tried to make society better. Okay? And so, just to wrap up the class, I'd like to bring to you this text about division that is presented from the Midrash Rabbah, that it says, why does the Torah not say, and God saw that it was good on the second day of creation, as it says in all other days? Because on that day, divisiveness was created. As it is written, book of Genesis, let there be a firmament within the water, and it shall divide between water and water. A wonderful thing. It's and also I don't know if you know this, that this was basically, if you consider the days of the creation, first days of creation was Monday, second day of creation when the waters were divided was a Monday, and then the third day of creation was Tuesday. So it's interesting because the Monday of the creation doesn't say it was good, because there is division there. Division was created. Let's put it that way. Before that, division did not exist in the world. The concept of division did not exist. So in Judaism, there is this old tradition that is almost like a superstition that people should not get married on a Monday, because it's the day where division was created. But they should try to get married on a Tuesday, because the statement that it was good is presented twice. So remember, the first day of creation, it was good. Second day of creation, nothing. Third day of creation, and it was good, appears twice. So it is a day that it was blessed with double the blessing. That's why some people try to get married on a Tuesday, because it's the opposite of division. It's a day with double blessing. Okay, this is what I wanted to present to you. So if you have any questions, this is the time to send the questions to me. I'm looking at the screen now. Thank you, Rocky. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone. Let me go here. Again, thank you all for watching. Remember, after the video is over, hands up. Remember to subscribe to all our channels. And once you subscribe, remember to hit the bell, especially on YouTube and Facebook, so you can receive all the notifications wherever we go live, so you won't miss any of our classes, any of our videos, any of our content. We work really hard every week to try to bring you good online content to educate you, to entertain you. You will have so many different things, all the way from Torah classes to cooking lessons. So don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our channels, and let's stay connected, because we might be separated physically, but we are connected in words of Torah, and we are connected using this wonderful tool that is the internet. Okay. Sorry, Pauline, that you missed it. Don't worry, the class is going to stay on all the platforms so you can replay it whenever you want. Have a wonderful day. And we are going to take a hiatus on July. Hopefully, we will see each other again on August. Enjoy your summer. I will surely try to enjoy mine. Stay safe. Hope to see you soon.